Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The General Hospital spoilers for Thursday, May 15th, state that Dante Falconeri will escalate his wrath at Giovanni Gio Palmieri, while Cristina Corinthos Davis falsehoods pile up. Donna Corinthos' wish will also be fulfilled. So here's what GH fans can look forward to. For openers, Elizabeth Baldwin will invite Lucas Jones to her home for a visit, while Cristina is compelled to conceal her trail throughout town. Cristina made a mistake when she mentioned Rick Lansing's car's passenger side damage, which Dante questions how she spotted. Cristina will once again have to lie to get out of trouble. Speaking of falsehoods, Lucky Spencer's suspicions will deepen as Rick blames Black Ice for the crash and claims the insurance company arrived for the damaged automobile. It won't be long before Lucky puts his detective abilities to good use. Lucky will eventually question Alexis Davis about the cause for Rick's dishonesty, and Alexis will have to determine how to handle it. Will Alexis learn Lucky knows the truth about Cristina's automobile sabotage and is working to conceal it? Will Lucky find out that Alexis is being blackmailed and that Ava Jerome is using the automobile as leverage? Regardless, Alexis wants to get rid of the car now that Damian Spinelli has directed her to the storage facility. But some complications are arising. Rick will have questions and appear suspicious on Thursday's episode, so we'll see if he can warn Ava before Alexis makes a move. Rick will eventually be the recipient of someone's proposal, so he'll have lots of interesting scenarios to look forward to. Meanwhile, it appears like Cody Bell will halt the next phase of Lulu Spencer's attempt to prove Joe's parentage. Lulu will beg Cody to do something for her, but he will say no. Nonetheless, Lulu is determined to gather evidence that Gio is Dante and Brooke Lynn Quartermain's child. Brooke Lynn will tell Harrison Chase how much she wants to meet her baby child, now that he is grown up. Brooke Lynn will find solace in Chase because none of them is aware that Gio is the son she longs for. Other General Hospital spoilers indicate that Gio will give Donna's dream, and may agree to play the violin while she performs at the nurse's ball. However, Sonny Corinthos will sense Joe's distress following Dante's tantrum, and will offer to listen. Gio believes Dante has finally shown his true feelings for him, and has no respect for him at all. Sonny may reassure Gio that this is not true, and that Dante was simply worried by Rocco Falconeri's medical situation. Dante wanted someone to blame in that moment, so Sonny may argue that Gio was a convenient target. Sonny will most likely convince Gio that things will calm down shortly, and he will make it plain that Gio can always contact him if he requires assistance. Dante appeared to be warming toward Gio when he just reconnected with Lois Cerullo, but he'll revisit his Gio indignation in Thursday's episode. Rocco will again accept responsibility for his alcohol poisoning, but Dante will not let Gio off the hook. Dante will continue to bear a grudge since he believes Gio should have been the adult in the circumstance and sought for medical treatment right away. Of course, Dante's feelings may alter when he discovers he has a father-son relationship with Gio, and Lulu will make it her duty to reveal that link in the following episodes. According to General Hospital spoilers, some unexpected twists will hit Dante in the near future, so stay tuned for updates on how the surprising Gio news will affect him. Willow's trust in Drew is destroyed by a legal bombshell. She turns to Isaiah for support. General Hospital teasers say that Willow Corinthos will be served this week. Most likely, her husband, Michael Corinthos, will issue her with custody papers. Drew Kane has assured her that he will not allow Michael to gain custody of his and Willow's children, Wiley and Amelia Corinthos, but Willow may begin to lose faith. Drew has been drugged and is embroiled in a dirty incident, so she may begin to blame him and lose faith in him. Willow Corinthos has been doubting her decisions. Willow has indicated to others, including her mother, Nina Reeves, that she is unsure whether she should believe Drew. She questions her decision, but soon reminds herself that Drew is a wonderful person who is telling the truth. She continues to support Drew, despite a small part of her telling her not to. Drew's involvement in a controversy does not bode well for Willow, especially in front of a judge who will decide custody of her children. Willow Corinthos is served. Willow would receive notice that Michael is suing for full custody of their children, and she would be devastated. She knows that if Michael goes after her, she won't have much of a chance of winning custody, especially since she cheated and eventually left Michael for his uncle Drew, And Drew hasn't had much good publicity lately either. Willow should be concerned because the situation is not looking good. She would realize that she was perhaps too hasty to move in with Drew so quickly, and she would begin to blame Drew for pressuring her into decisions she was not yet prepared to make. Willow Corinthos loses faith in Drew Cain. Drew would try to convince Willow that they could beat Michael, and that she would not lose custody of her children. Willow would question and lose faith in Drew's ability to help her keep her children. Drew would be furious because he has lost control over the woman he loves. Willow is at a loss for what to do next and informs Drew that she has to reconsider her options. She'd do anything to keep her children. Willow Corinthos believes in Isaiah Gannon. Willow would turn to her new confidant, Dr. Isaiah Gannon, who would advise her to do what is best for her children, not Drew. She needs to leave Drew's house and try to work out an agreement with Michael, so she can have her children in her life. Others have pushed Willow to do the same thing, but she may need to hear it from someone unbiased such as Isaiah, for the message to be understood. Isaiah and Willow may also become closer as a result. Nina's secret unravels. She makes a dramatic move to hide her drugging of Drew. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Drew Cain is still unaware of Nina Reeves' role in drugging him. Brad Cooper knows that Portia Robinson was involved, but he is unaware that Nina is his co-conspirator. Drew may discover that Portia has a partner and question if that partner is Nina. Nina Reeves becomes paranoid. Nina is aware that if Portia is uncovered, she may give her up, and she is concerned that she will do so. She is also concerned that Drew will discover that she was responsible and piece together the facts regarding her hiring Jacinda. She struggles to conceal her tracks as evidence of her involvement in the drug plot against Drew emerges. Ezra Boyle plans to tell Drew Cain about Jacinda. Nina may become aware that Ezra Boyle intends to inform Drew that he recruited Jacinda the night before she was with him, which would be bad news for Nina because Ezra may associate her with Portia while dining at the Metro Court. Nina would try to stop Ezra from doing so, but Ezra would discover that Nina and Portia were engaged in drugging Drew. Nina would offer him a hefty bribe to keep quiet about everything, which Ezra would gladly take because it would help him with his election campaign. Nina would tell him she would gladly do all she could to help him financially. Jacinda returns to Port Charles for more money. When Jacinda ran out of money, she would return to Port Charles to coerce Nina into giving her more. Nina would be astonished to see her, pray no one else saw her, and tell her to be quiet till she left town. Nina would be upset that Jacinda is attempting to extort more money, but she would have no choice but to give her a lot more money than previously in order to keep her away from Port Charles permanently. Nina is always attempting to cover her tracks, but obstacles keep getting in the way. The recent issue regarding Dante's strong reaction to Joe's behavior has stirred heated debate on social media, in sports commentary, and among fans. What began as a relatively trivial disagreement has now evolved into a full-fledged rivalry, with Dante not only remaining firm on his initial critique, but reinforcing it with even harsher rhetoric and public confrontations. The issue highlights concerns about accountability, professionalism, and the delicate balance between passion and excess in competitive contexts. At the center of the issue is Joe's contentious judgment during a high-stakes match, which many believe cost his team a crucial advantage. While some say that Joe's move was a calculated risk that ultimately failed, others, like Dante, see it as a reckless failure in judgment. Dante's original remarks were harsh but not surprising given the stakes. However, his continuing refusal to back down, even in the face of escalating reaction, has transformed this into a watershed moment for both individuals. Dante's doubling down implies more than simply anger with a particular play. It hints at deeper tensions. There have been reports of earlier clashes between the two, with sources stating that their conflict stems from conflicting beliefs on teamwork and strategy. Whereas Gio is seen as an impulsive, versatile athlete who lives on spontaneity, Dante is described as more disciplined, preferring structure and predictability. This underlying gap may explain why Dante's wrath hasn't subsided. For him, Joe's actions were more than just a mistake. They were a betrayal of their common goals. The consequences have been rapid and widespread. Teammates have been compelled to take sides, with some privately backing Dante's plea for accountability and others defending Joe's right to make snap judgments without fear of public repercussions. Coaches and management now have the unenviable task of resolving the conflict before it destabilizes team morale. Meanwhile, fans are divided, with debates erupting over whether Dante's harshness is fair or has over the line into unwarranted animosity. The fact that the dispute is public adds to the volatility of the issue. In other ages, such differences would have been resolved behind closed doors. But in today's world of rapid reactions and viral takes, every statement is scrutinized in real time. Dante's refusal to alter his stance, even as the story gathers traction, indicates a readiness to accept the backlash if it means sticking to his values. In contrast, Joe's silence in the face of criticism has been viewed in a variety of ways. Some perceive it as maturity, others as deflection. This feud has significant repercussions beyond the persons involved. It discusses the developing dynamics of authority and accountability in team sports. Should gamers be able to freely criticize one another? Or does this harm unity? Is there tolerance for emotional outbursts in professional rivalry? Or should calm heads usually prevail? Dante's unwavering stance calls into question traditional conflict resolution conventions, implying that past methods of resolving disagreements may no longer be adequate in an era that values transparency and authenticity. Psychologically, Dante's reaction can be interpreted as a protection mechanism, a means of asserting control in a high-pressure workplace where unpredictability can feel dangerous. His doubling down may be less about Gio and more about maintaining his own sense of order. Joe's approach, on the other hand, represents a different coping technique, one that values adaptability and perseverance in the face of criticism. The confrontation between these two perspectives is what makes the problem both interesting and difficult to settle. Media coverage has just fueled the fire. Pundits have portrayed the clash in dramatic terms, with Dante as the uncompromising hardliner and Gio as the free-spirited maverick. This narrative oversimplifies reality while raising the stakes, transforming what may have been an interior matter into a spectacle. The more attention the story receives, the more difficult it is for either party to back down without losing face, resulting in a self-perpetuating cycle of escalation. In the absence of a prompt resolution, the long-term repercussions could be severe. If the friction remains, it could have an impact on team performance, recruitment, and even fan loyalty. Sponsors and stakeholders, frightened of extended criticism, may withdraw themselves, increasing the pressure to resolve the conflict. Dante is concerned that this moment will define his reputation and eclipse his accomplishments. For Gio, the difficulty is to demonstrate that his unpopular decisions eventually benefit the squad. The circumstance also prompts contemplation on how conflicts are resolved in competitive environments. Could this have been averted with better communication protocols? Are there mechanisms in place to resolve disagreements before they escalate? Dante's outspokenness, while polarizing, may unintentionally highlight flaws in how teams manage disagreements. If anything constructive comes out of this, it could lead to a rethinking of how players and coaches handle philosophical disagreements before they become public crises. As the story progresses, one thing becomes clear. Dante's stubbornness to back down has assured that this is more than just one occurrence. It's about values, pride, and the cost of accountability. Whether his position is vindicated or condemned remains to be seen, but the intensity of his reaction ensures that the discourse will last long after the immediate controversy has passed. Meanwhile, Joe's response, or lack thereof, will be closely studied. If he eventually responds directly to Dante's concerns, it might either defuse the issue or spark more controversy. His quiet thus far may be deliberate, but in the court of public opinion, protracted avoidance can be construed as guilt or apathy. In many ways, he is in control. The larger community, seeing this drama unfold, is left to consider larger questions. How much disagreement is healthy in a team environment? When does desire turn toxic? And where do you draw the line between keeping someone accountable and publicly shaming them? Dante's doubling down brings these problems to the forefront, requiring fans, analysts, and players to grapple with the intricacies of competition and friendship. Finally, the outcome of this rivalry may depend on what happens next. If the team comes together and succeeds despite the stress, the incident may be viewed as a minor setback. However, if the disagreement leads to more dysfunction, it could serve as a warning about the hazards of unresolved conflicts. For now, all eyes are on Dante and Gio, waiting to see who blinks first, or if either blinks at all. According to General Hospital spoilers, Drew Kane may have a prison promise for Nina Reeves. So let's talk about the 4 vindictive words he might say to her in the future. Drew is still unsure of what happened the night he received a ketamine dose. Drew knows Portia Robinson was involved in the drugging operation, but he doesn't have the complete picture yet. Brad Cooper snitched on Portia, but he was evidently unaware of Nina's involvement. However, Nina will not be able to keep her role in all of the Jacinda drama hidden indefinitely. Nina would eventually be revealed as Portia's accomplice. Even if Portia maintains quiet to protect Nina, there will undoubtedly be a method for Drew to uncover the entire tale. What happens when Drew realizes Nina was the one who came up with this concept and attempted to ruin his relationship with Willow Corinthos? It didn't work, but Drew ended up at the center of a very public scandal. Drew has already sworn to bring down the perpetrator, so Nina will have to pay the consequences for her conduct. You can be certain that Drew will want Nina jailed and eventually imprisoned for this. That's especially true given Nina was the SEC informant that led to Drew's own prison sentence. Drew will now have the opportunity to repay the favor if he can establish Nina was responsible for the drugging scheme and the main attempt to undermine him. According to GH Spoilers, Drew's prison promise may be fulfilled if he discovers what Nina did. Drew may utter 6 spiteful words as he assures Nina of what's to come. You're going to prison. Will Nina be arrested and potentially imprisoned for this? Will Nina evade punishment despite Drew's eagerness to see her imprisoned? Regardless, Drew has done certain things for which he must be held accountable, so we'll keep you updated on the terrible news that is coming his way. According to General Hospital teasers, Nina and Drew may face some unpleasant surprises as the tale progresses. Willow is served divorce and custody papers. Plus, Lucky discovers Rick's lies about the accident. Wednesday, May 14, 2025. On General Hospital, Alexis assigns a job to Spinelli, Drew employs Rick, and Diane delivers bad news to Carly and Jason. Stella stops by as Kai is working on his physical therapy. He requests that she do him a favor and release him today. She says she can't if the doctor doesn't approve it, but Kai insists he's been working extremely hard. She wonders why he wants out so badly. He tells that he wants to be there to support Trina during her performance at the nurses' ball. Stella returns later bringing awful news. Kai's doctor will not discharge him due to the sort of operation he underwent. If not today, is there still time to be discharged before the nurses' ball? She informs him that anything is possible. Trina questions Joss at the nurses' ball rehearsal space about where she's been and why she's been so busy. Joss informs her that she now works as Dalton's assistant. Trina is overjoyed, but she quickly discovers it's the position Emma wanted. Joss claims she applied on a whim and assumed Emma would get the job. Joss notices Emma is dissatisfied with her. Trina is pleased for her and believes Emma will come around, and it's not as if she stole the job. Joss wants to plan a party after the ball, but Trina says she'll split as soon as it's finished. She has to be there for Kai since they both understand what it's like to have their lives taken away. Nina stops by Drew and Willow's house and hopes it's okay. Willow says it will rely on her ability to accept both herself and Drew. Nina tells Willow that she trusts her judgment, so if Drew believes her, she should too. Willow expresses gratitude to her mother for her unwavering support. Later, a man comes along and hands Willow paperwork. She opens them and discovers that Michael is proceeding with the divorce and requesting full custody of the children. At the Metro Court, Ezra screams at Drew about Laura before asking what Drew did with Jacinda. He's never known her to up and leave town, and he believes Drew bought her off. Drew didn't, and he still thinks he was drugged. He asks Ezra why he is so buddy-buddy with Jacinda. Has she been hanging out with somebody new recently? Ezra claims Willow's mother, Nina, approached them the other day. Laura is nearby, eating breakfast with Lucky and Lulu. Lulu asks Lucky if he and Liz are back together. Lucky thinks everything is fantastic, and he enjoys being with her and caring for her. Laura appreciates that Liz has him to look after her, and is overjoyed that both of her children are doing well in their lives and careers. She asks Lulu how her article is doing. Lulu adds that she had put it on hold due to Rocco's alcohol poisoning. Lucky leaves to return to Liz, and Laura questions Lulu about why she put off her piece. Lulu confesses that penning the poem may have hurt some of her loved ones. As they discuss it, Ezra slithers over and gets into a fight with Laura, who urges him to go. He wonders if she'll turn Sunny on him. Lulu informs Ezra that he can't talk to her mother like that, and she might have found her next piece. According to Ezra, a hit piece written by Laura's daughter will signify nothing. Ezra makes snarky remarks about Rocco's drinking, which will offend Laura's constituents, and proposes she withdraw out of the campaign right away. Laura splashes water in his face as he continues to beat Rocco, while Lulu laughs. Rick drops by Liz's house to check on her. Liz sees his new Porsche on the street and can't believe he acquired a new sports car after their accident. Liz recalls the collision and Rick remarking that the brakes were not working. Rick argues that the black ice prevented him from stopping and slowing down, and that the best thing to do is put this terrible disaster behind them. The insurance company took the car, and everything is in the past. Later, Lucky returns home to Liz. She tells him Rick stopped by earlier, and she recalls telling Rick to slow down before the crash, which he remembered hitting black ice. Lucky inquires whether she or Rick remembers anything else. She claims Rick told her that the automobile was gone, the insurance company had taken it, and they should move on. Lucky takes note of Rick's remark that the insurance company stole his old car. Drew hires Rick. Drew returns home, goes over the paperwork Willow sent, and wonders what's up with Michael. Willow has no idea what to do now that Martin is out of town. Drew says they need a lawyer and he knows who to contact. Rick arrives at Drew and Willow's and learns about the case. Drew believes Michael's future plans are heavily influenced by Carly. Rick is willing to aid them and feels they can win. He will call Martin for his notes, and Willow and Nina suggest that Martin is looking for dirt on Michael. Rick will handle it, but they will need to request a postponement. Drew claims they don't need that because he knows how to win the case. Drew claims Michael elected to leave the nation for treatment, and he has not contacted his children through his mother, therefore Michael has been MIA. He claims they have to portray Michael as an absentee father who has abandoned his children. Dante and Christina meet in Lulu's new residence. Christina takes no time in telling Dante that her mother almost wanted to commit her, because of all she's gone through over the last year. She acknowledges she had a difficult year, and it would have been different if he, Michael, or Molly had approached her about doing something to help her get better. However, her mother caught her off guard, and she is unsure whether she can forgive or trust her again. Dante and Christina both know Alexis loves her. Dante reveals that he and Sunny were in a similar predicament for a long time, but they got through it and she did too. Christina sees one positive outcome from this. Molly had her back, and they are closer than ever. Dante claims to have him as well, but she can't shake the feeling that something else is bugging her. Christina reveals Rick's accident has been on her mind, and she's relieved no one was wounded. The passenger side of the vehicle was entirely totaled. Dante learned about it from a cop on the scene and questioned how she knew what Rick's automobile looked like. Spinelli arrives in Alexis' office. The lawyer has a job for him, and she requires his confidentiality. Alexis says that what she needs him to do may save Christina's life. She needs him to find Rick's totaled automobile, as no one knows where it is. Spinelli inquires as to what she wishes to do with Rick's car, if it has been considered an accident. Alexis prefers not to say. Spinelli begins looking for the car, and reports that the lot claims it was destroyed. Alexis feels the property was paid off to lie, so she needs him to check to see whether any tow trucks took it up. He ultimately finds the burning gun, and Ava hires a tow truck to retrieve it. Carly and Jason are catching up at Carly's house when Diane swings by to talk about a mess that Carly has caused. Diane sits down and reminds Carly that she has requested her to petition the court for a divorce date. Carly tells Jason that Michael hasn't been notified because she wants him to focus on mending and growing stronger. Diane says he has 2 weeks to heal before his court date on June 2nd. Carly did not expect it to happen so soon. Jason claims that Michael made this decision, not her. Carly was only concerned with Michael's best interests, and she needed to get those kids out of Drew's house. She asks Diane how they can resolve this. Diane can petition for a postponement stating Michael suffered a medical setback, but Drew and Willow will use it against them in Michael's case, arguing he is unfit to care for the children. Jason believes this has opened the path for Willow to gain full custody of the children. Carly insists they must keep the court date. Diane will contact Michael to see what he wants to do. Carly tells her no, and promises to fight for Wiley and Amelia on Michael's behalf. Jason asks, how? Diane claims they can use Drew's recent bad press to prove that Michael's children are in danger living in that place. Carly says they need to get those youngsters out of the house. Diane notes that while the evidence may strip Willow of custody, it does not guarantee that Carly will gain custody, and the children could be put with Nina. Carly is willing to take a chance. Brooke Lynn cries to Chase at the next General Hospital, saying she'd give anything to meet her son. Gio holds a flower and informs Donna that he would be honored. Dante yells at Rocco, telling him that Gio made a mistake and it is his fault. Cody tells Lulu, "Sorry, that's not happening." Lucky questions Alexis about Rick's deception. Rick asks someone where they are going in such a hurry. Sunny says to someone, "I want to be the first person you call." Drew and Nina's feud has erupted, and now that Drew is in prison, he is making a terrible vow that might change everything. In a fit of rage, Drew utters 4 vindictive words that send shockwaves across Port Charles. What might he have said? Is this the start of an unstoppable revenge plot? Or will Nina figure out how to defend herself before it's too late? Fans are on the edge of their seats, anxious to watch how this dramatic storyline plays out. The world of Port Charles has always been fraught with intrigue, betrayal, and vengeance, but few scenes have been as terrifying as Drew's prison promise to Nina. Drew's 4 furious words linger in the air like a bad portent, indicating the start of a perilous new chapter in an already troubled relationship. The stakes have never been higher, and as the tension rises, viewers wonder how far Drew is willing to go to hold Nina accountable for what she has done. The enmity between them has been growing for months, fueled by secrets, lies, and betrayals that have left both characters devastated and yearning for vengeance. Drew's threat now bears an uncanny weight, since he is imprisoned but far from defeated, because in Port Charles, jail bars do not always prevent retribution. Nina, on the other hand, never backs down from a fight. Her tenacity and cunning have kept her afloat in the cutthroat world of business and personal rivalries, but Drew's threat is unique. His statements have a chilly finality to them, as if he is already preparing his next move from behind bars. The question isn't what he said, but what he's capable of. Drew has always been a man of action, and his time in prison may have fueled his wrath, giving him the clarity and determination to attack when Nina least expects it. The 4 words he said were more than simply a warning. They were a declaration of war, and Nina knows not to underestimate him. Drew and Nina's history is riddled with lies and heartache. From corporate takeovers to personal betrayals, their conflict has been everything from straightforward. Drew's arrest is simply the latest twist in a narrative in which both characters have gained and lost power in surprising ways. But now that his freedom has been taken away, Drew's concentration has shifted to one thing: seeing Nina suffer. His threat is not simply physical harm. It is also psychological, a planned ploy to engender dread and anxiety. He wants her to glance over her shoulder, distrust every ally, and wonder when and how he will make his move. Because in Port Charles, vengeance isn't always immediate. It might be a prolonged burn, methodically prepared to guarantee maximum destruction. Nina finds the danger frightening not only because of what Drew might do, but also because of what it represents. His words serve as a reminder that no one in Port Charles is completely safe, that previous deeds have consequences, and that even the most powerful can fall. Drew's commitment cuts through everything she's spent years doing to develop her empire, forge connections, and outmaneuver her rivals. It is personal, raw, and free of the game she is accustomed to playing. This is not about money or power. It is about misery. And this makes it immensely more dangerous. Drew's remarks have weight over time. Nina tries to stay calm by focusing on her work and surrounds herself with close confidants. But the anxiety is evident. Every phone call, unexpected guest, and weird occurrence sends a thrill of terror through her. Is this it? Is this the moment Drew delivers on his promise? Drew understands that ambiguity is a form of agony in itself. He may be in prison, but his power pervades every dark nook of Nina's life. Drew is far from idle behind prison walls, however. Incarceration sharpens a person's focus, and Drew is making good use of his time. He is gathering information, making connections, and setting the basis for what will happen next. His forward threat was not hollow. It was the first move of a much larger game.